I've been extended an invitation to the Dustbowl 500. That's going to be the race at Cars and Cameras property. The people who are going to be there is going to be Redbeard, Facility Custom Builds, Rather Be Welding, Junkyard Digs, and Dylan McCool. And so there's going to be 2 races, the Dustbowl 500, which is around the oval track they made on their new property. I'm not sure how many laps it's going to be, but it's supposed to be stage 1 yard carts. Now the definition of stage 1, it's a little murky, you know, you could have some extra stuff on there, give or take. I think people are just going to run what they brung. So we're going to use this thing, our old turbo cart. Right now I believe it's got a stage 1, which is valve springs, a header, and a Mikuni. I think we're going to leave it as is, but we're going to do some modifications to it to make it look a little better and handle better on the dirt. And then the second race is just going to be an anything goes laps around the entire property. So we are removing the body because this thing would get destroyed in the dirt race.
So one of the big problems about this thing is that we had a lot of trouble turning left. So if y'all can see, when we turn right with the caster, it lifts up, you know, normally how a cart would lift up its tires. But when we turn left, it really doesn't. And then if you know, kind of see, very little effort to lift this tire, and then that one's like the whole weight of the cart. So what we're hoping is that we can just, we got some Springer spindles from Go Power Sports. So what we're gonna do is make sure the cart is dead level and just add the new Springer spindles, and that should fix all of our steering problems.
One thing we did on this cart was we notched out the spindles to get maximum steering angle because we were using this as a drift cart.
We were just thinking about it and looking over this thing's steering and the spindle setup, and we're probably actually not going to be using these Springer spindles. We'll have to use these for a later build, but I mean, this thing just gets so much angle, and the steering is perfect. I mean, mostly just to the right, but the steering is pretty much perfect. We were looking at it, and we think the problem is the frame is kind of like twisted or like preloaded to be onto that side. So if you look right here, I mean, it takes very little effort to bend this up, and then when you bend here, it immediately lifts this tire. So what we're gonna do is we're planning on strengthening the frame anyway. So what we're hoping is that if we stand on here and just kind of bend it down and strengthen the frame while this is being pushed down, that might help. And if that doesn't work, we're gonna have to cut this spindle and drop it just a little bit, and then we should have perfect steering. So we got our old reliable, the Hobart welder right here. We're just doing like a kind of higher voltage setting because we got thick wall pipe to do these reinforcements. So. Medium tack switch.
Just this triangulation adds a lot to this.
Yeah, actually, that's looking pretty nice. Yeah,
that adds a lot. It's simple, but it's what we need.
So now we just need to check the body on this to see if it's going to fit. Okay, that's lined up for the most part. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, no, it doesn't really reflect.
Yeah, I mean, it's inside of the brake thing, so yeah, no problem. And this will like kind of strengthen the seat sides, kind of hold in better, strengthen the cart. That'll be cool. Okay, so we had a seized and a cracked bearing on this wheel, but now we have the wheels on. We just tightened up the front forks, or the front spindles, and they're a lot tighter, and yeah, this thing's looking pretty good. So the results from what we did is we actually just twisted the frame while we welded in the supports, and look at this. Okay, so that lifts up barely a little slack, and then both tires. Now this one, which used to have a bunch of slack in it, barely in both tires. So now it turns left, probably a little bit better than it turns right, which is perfect since this is gonna be an oval track and we're gonna be turning left. So yeah, really couldn't be happy with that.
Since we're not running a body on the cart, we decided we're gonna spice it up. So what we did is we got this thin gauge aluminum, some Eastwood Dimple dies that they sent us a couple years ago that we absolutely love. We'll have a link down in the description if you want to pick some up for yourself. And we're just going to do these panels for the sidebar. So it's pretty easy. You just clamp everything together with a bolt, and then as you turn your ratchet, it starts cutting through the metal, and then the very end, it flares it to give you these perfect dimple dies.
Daniel, make this shot if we're gonna win the race. That is not a good sign.
Yeah, that is actually night and day. It's pretty neutral now. It might steer a tiny bit better to the left now. So yeah, definitely for the oval track where we will be mostly turning left, this thing's gonna be perfect. And yeah, mechanically, this thing's ready.
She's done. Good. Woo. This one's good to go.
She's ready. All right, guys, thanks for watching. It was a ton of fun to get this thing back in working order. The steering is amazing now. The valve springs really help this thing get to higher RPM. It really just drives exactly how it should. This was one of our oldest videos, so it's super fun to get to work on this thing again and make it perfect. And this Friday, we're gonna be going to the race, so we'll see how this thing does against everybody else's carts. Thank you to Powersports for all the parts in this build. Thanks y'all for watching, and see you next time.